Hello, Tim. Hello, Tom.
Hi, Edith.
How are
Hello,
you?
Edith.
Um, Very well. I'm a bit sweaty, actually. Do you mind if I take my jumper off?
Go for it.
Wow,
Thanks.
Wow,
unbelievable.
we just met.
Yeah,
I
that's
know,
mad.
sorry. Well, and I am on Zoom. I should stress
Yeah.
that. But it's not as weird as it seems.
I'm at a decent temperature.
Yeah, yeah, me too. Actually, I'm good to go. Um, Listen, I'm so happy I get to chat to you both about this film because, Andy just said that I saw it a while ago, but it's kind of just you can't stop thinking about it because it just made me feel all the feels. And yeah, I just laughed. I just felt great when I came out the cinema after seeing it. So huge congratulations.
Well,
Wow,
thank you.
thank you so much.
I also watched the short this morning, which I didn't know about until obviously this film, and then that's kind of, kind of the origin story, so to speak, I
Yeah.
guess.
That's next level. That is very diligent journalism to watch that.
When was the last time you watched it?
Oh, this morning as well, yeah. You've got to remember your roots, haven't you?
But there's something incredibly sort of timeless about these characters in this story, and it could almost be set in different times. Do you know what I mean? I think that that's one of the beautiful things about it is that it's got a kind of real timeless quality to it, in terms of the themes as well, that it's really resonating. Did you kind of think about that in a way at all?
I think it was part of our thinking that taking a character like Herb and then later Nell to an island means that we can very obviously isolate them, but also kind of keep them out of modern life a bit. And so you have a situation where my character Herb essentially loses his phone, or his phone becomes it breaks in the first kind of minute of the film, and then he's got to use a phone box from then on, and we're sort of plunging him back in time. There is a Tim's character Charles kind of lives in a different era in some ways.
Oh,
In his
okay.
head, it's sort of what is it like the kind of 2005, I guess.
Yeah, yeah,
Or
my guy's not from this era.
no. So there is a kind of there's like a stuff built into the story that means that everyone is kind of plucked out of modern life and forced to kind of actually engage with their surroundings and the people around them all the time.
And
I
what was
think
the
we
Go on,
quite
sorry, Tim.
sorry.
No, go.
I think we I think we quite like but maybe this isn't true. I quite like island films anyway. I like, like the Banshees of Inisherin and things like that. And I think me and Tom both watched. I don't know. I think you watched Rams, didn't you?
Yeah, I
Remember
watch.
that one?
Yeah, I like
Yeah,
Rams.
like that's a sort of weird kind of like those films where you're just that you're nowhere near where they're nothing like our lives, and you just pluck some people and just plop them somewhere and see it all play out. I mean, it works wonders also with things like budget and possibilities of actually filming it. But
Yeah.
I quite like. I think I quite enjoy small films. I
Yeah.
think I get lost in sort of ones where there's a city. I can't really handle those ones.
Yeah, even things like weirdly, I was thinking like Harold and Maude and stuff like that, in terms
Yeah,
of where you're really
Yeah,
quite sort of you're kind of just almost kind of cocooned in the characters almost in a way, and they're just, their meanderings and existence and conversations and things.
yeah. Well, I think also we definitely. I'm very confident to say that we both love Nuts in May. And have you seen that one?
No,
You got to watch Nuts in May. I mean, it's all very well us going on about this one, but I think it might be
writing
worth
it on a
spending the next.
post-it.
I think, and also the next 30 minutes talking about it. That's it's a Mike Leigh film. It's fantastic. But yeah, all of that stuff I think we really like, and it does it also drove us slightly towards that. Yeah, I watch those films and think maybe one day I could make a film like that.
Mm.
I'm not watching Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom and thinking I could make a film like that.
I don't know. I'd quite like to see Charles in that environment. I think that would
Oh
be
God, yeah, that's
absolutely
inevitable. Yeah,
amazing.
no, that
Yeah,
has to happen. Yeah, well, even as I was saying it, I realised that must be the next film.
What was the catalyst though in terms of this being something that is it like 18 years or something since you did the short film and these kind of these characters and the chemistry between the two of you, and I know you've continued to work together and things, but was there a catalyst in terms of we need to really do, make this into a film, we really need to kind of try and push this through? Was there anything in particular, or have you been kind of secretly just chipping away at it for that length of time?
I think it. We
Bit of
certainly
both,
would
really.
talk about it every so often. I think, in truth, we hadn't really been chipping away. We'd what we'd do is we'd talk about it every now and again, and then whenever James Griffiths, our director, was back in the country because he was living in LA for most of the period between the short and the feature, we'd all talk about it and enthuse about it, and then just life would take over and we wouldn't do anything. And I think it was around 2020, either with the pandemic or just before, we really started to actually force ourselves to have a look at it all again and go back over it and sort of try and put our money where our mouth is and commit to actually turning the
Oh
short.
yeah, I definitely did in lockdown. Get arrive at his house drunk and sort of him answer the door and me say, "I'm going to fund it." So I mean, I hadn't
Yeah.
thought it through. I couldn't fund it, but there was definitely it was
He used
definitely
to have £5
symbolic of
notes stuffed in his
yeah.
pockets,
It was
raving
starting
about
to bubble.
financing the movie.
Yeah, it was definitely starting to bubble up into sort of. We definitely loved making the short film. Definitely did
Yeah.
go back and look at it sometimes. Definitely had obviously loads of other ideas in the interim years, but there's tons of stuff we made and wrote in the early 2000s that we'd never revisit. But this was the one we kind of were like, that could be a feature film. We just didn't really know how
Mm.
until 15 years later.
Were there any specific inspirations behind those two characters between Herb and Charles?
Yeah,
um,
probably. I mean, the thing is, they're sort of, my one, it's just sort of, kind of people just wandering into rooms who are like friends, friends of your family who like make
Yeah.
noises and stuff and go da 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 da. You think, okay, fine. I guess we'll build a film about one of those people.
I think I accidentally admitted a while ago in an interview that
Yeah,
that Herb and Charles's relationship is very similar to mine and my mum's, and that there is a kind of teenager and parent sort of vibe going on. I think particularly in the first kind of 20 minutes.
Yes.
And so I think that's probably in there. I think that's stewing around in the kind of origin of the film.
That's so funny. I've got a 16-year-old son, and honestly, I'm just like flashed there of you saying that of me outside his room, kind of, doing funny knocks to try and get him,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
trying to get him to go, come in, mom, and just like, just wanting to be like, accepted into his kind of even peripheral vision. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of
yeah,
like, yeah, that's
yeah.
so brilliant. I hadn't thought about it that way. That's amazing. Um, Tom, I can see the guitar behind you, so clearly music's a big part of
oh, here we
just
go.
you.
That, I'm sorry that I haven't put it there. Can you see my
Well,
awards behind
well,
as
well,
well?
you have put it there,
No,
obviously.
I have put it there. I haven't put it there for the purpose of this conversation.
Edith,
Um,
I've never seen that guitar hanging on the wall before.
Cue the kind of the guitar
Yeah,
holder falling off the
yeah,
wall
yeah.
as the
yeah, hopefully. Um, yeah, I mean, look, I've been obviously, I've been looking for an excuse to try and fold some music into things over the years because I do love doing music. I love writing and playing songs, but I
Mm.
don't have anything like enough talent or bravery to try and commit to that as an actual career. So this is the sort of closest I can come to it, I think.
Where did they talk to me though about in terms of writing the songs for this character, in terms of because, there's music that exists for the short, and then
Mm.
then you have this kind of then we have the film, and there's clearly songs within there, and how much you wanted to bring through from that, and I guess how much you developed as well, or you developed the character in terms of being a solo artist to then being part of this duo with Now.
Yeah, I think as soon as I convinced myself that I definitely was writing in character and it wasn't like just me writing love songs on an acoustic guitar, like a knob at a party. I think as soon as I got into the idea of the character, I gave myself license to do a lot more of it. And I think equally once we knew that we had the character of Nell and that Herb and Nell were in a band together, it really informed the kind of songs I was writing, and it allowed both the songs tonally, but also the lyrics to kind of to sort of illuminate their backstory, to kind of to provide all the kind of emotional context for what's happened between the characters, in the knowledge that they're never going to actually really address it themselves.
Yeah.
Um, and also to sort of to show why the band were really meaningful for Charles and his
Yeah,
wife.
yeah,
So once I kind of knew what the songs were for, and also which points in the film they were going to be used, the writing process became a lot easier in some ways. The songs for the short, of which there are a couple in the feature, are much more sort of whimsical. Really, it's things like Raspberry Fair and Sky Child. They're not really about very much. They're just kind of like that's when when Herb was a solo artist and Charles just happens to like his songs because he does. Those
yeah.
songs are a little bit more whimsical, and then the ones for the feature, which is the majority of them that have made it through, are they're much more romantic. They're kind of about being young and hopeful and innocent, which is obviously the kind of period in both of their lives that they're slightly longing to return to.
And it's so lovely, kind of, because I think that the film has just got so many beautiful kind of themes and almost kind of parallels between, these two characters. And you kind of, you first of all think that they're complete, such different people, but then their kind of experiences and kind of almost what they're trying to, that almost both dealing with loss in a way. Do you know what I mean? And that kind of,
Mm.
it's so beautiful, the kind of the way that their similarities and their kind of similar lived experiences, I guess, in a way, are kind of help that relationship kind of come closer in a way. It's beautiful.
Well, thank you, and I think that's something that you hopefully feel in the film is that Herb really writes Charles off at the start because he's just another fan for him,
Yeah.
and it's only when he sort of understands that they really do have a connection, that sort of quite, and as you say, a lot of parallels really,
And I
that
think that,
they take him seriously.
yeah, I think also that is where, I mean, Carey Mulligan is like, she's amazing in the film, and there's like these real kind of powerful scenes with Carey and Tom's character Herb. But I think what she does for the film is just in that middle bit, just kind of galvanizes everything her character
Yeah.
does, and she's so good at it as an actor. But yeah, you have this guy writing off this other guy, and then you suddenly have him seeing this guy through Nell's eyes and Nell's laughter and Nell sort of seeing the best in my character sort of
Hmm.
unlocks a less gloomy aspect of Tom's character. And I feel like that's sort of, in a way, the lifeblood of the only having like watched it a lot and done a lot of Q&As. I'm gradually realizing that's what's happening in the film. That middle half an hour is what is it
Yeah, you
makes the
just
film,
focus
I
on your own
think.
performance, otherwise, don't you?
I'm just what yeah
It's watching me.
yeah, I spent the first five viewings watching me, but then it's come to my attention that Carey and Tom are really good in the middle, and I think there's two other actors who are fantastic.
And I believe that she's part of this. I mean, she is almost kind of like this, she's just an observer, in terms of a lot of it. She's kind of the way that she kind of almost has a slight step back from the two and is almost kind of she's almost kind of guiding them towards each other. It's really great. It's so great. But it's down, you did a cold call, was that right, Tim? Or like
I
literally like it's like
I did a cold call. I did a
yes.
we wrote
Well,
down
hang on, it
our
was an email. It wasn't like a
well,
sort of
hang
WhatsApp
on a minute.
conversation.
Hang on a
You weren't
minute.
sort of selling a life insurance over the phone.
Well, I did do that also. We had a we drew up our hit list. Carey Mulligan was at the top, and then there was a large gap, and then the number two person, and then I said, I can get, I said I can get Carey Mulligan,
I
and
love it.
anyway, yeah,
You did.
Tom's like doing this face, going, yeah, okay, fine, I'm working with a clown, but then she'd emailed she'd emailed asking me to do something about 2 years before, which I wasn't able to do because I didn't quite have the skill set. Like it was a hosting an event, but I had her email address, and I knew she must vaguely know that be aware of us in some way. So yeah, I wrote her an email that I'm extremely proud of, and she replied to it that day, and then yeah, there was a call, and it was we're just lucky. You don't know who
Yeah.
knows who or is aware of who. We could have approached someone else of Carey's quality who's like laughs us out of town, but Carey didn't. Carey was like she
Laughed
listens to our she laughs us into town. Yeah, she listens to our radio show. And so she was, you had a starting point which is not um, what these guys have got some brass neck contacting me. It was more, oh, okay, yeah, I like the idea of it. Enough at least for us to send the script, and then after that, it's in the, it's in it becomes whether or not she enjoys the idea of being Nell.
Well, it's if you don't ask, you don't get, do you? It's like,
That's certainly true. I've tried a few emails in the past.
I love it. You turn around, you turn up drunk at the door. You're like, I'm gonna pay for it,
Yes.
and then you're like, follow that up with, I'm gonna get Kerry Mulligan. You're like, did
He's
both.
the
Yeah,
man
I
of
do
action.
sound.
He's quite
Yeah,
dynamic, young Tim.
I do sound like I'm painting myself as quite an erratic character.
No, I think this is like you get shit done. Basically, it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we made a feature film, by hook or by
Exactly.
crook.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I love the fact that you mentioned there, Sam, about Tom's character, that the sort of the slightly gloomy nature of as as he arrives on the island. It's not for the whole film, obviously, but being married to a musician, I very much saw that truth in that character
Oh,
of
really?
like,
Good.
yeah,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think
What's
he's
that about? Because almost all the musicians
smashed it.
like seem very gloomy and quite abrasive. Why is that?
Ah, there's the pressure of creativity, I think, Tom.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
it's nice to block me out when you two start talking about creativity. I enjoy that.
And I think that there is so much that people are going to get from seeing this film, both just in terms of how it makes you feel, as I said at the start, sort of thing as well. But I also wanted to talk to you about working with Adam on the as the composer on this film as well.
Yeah.
Who weirdly I remember playing on the radio, like back, when he was before he started doing composing stuff and things for loads of different things. It was Home Songs, was that first
Right.
record?
That's right.
First,
Yeah.
I mean, I
Yeah.
just
It's a great
remember
album.
kind of going, oh, amazing.
Yeah.
What was that like working, working with him? How much did you work with him in terms of, because it has to kind of, there has to be a relationship between those songs and the score in a way, in terms of
Mm.
they can't feel too kind of clunky, I guess, with each other.
Yeah. I mean, I think I sort of I guess he came in once we shot everything and once we were, putting it all together in the edit. That's when Ardem came in and was writing, bits of score. But also he started to help me with the songs for the recordings, and he was incredibly helpful with recording with Carey and just kind of working out really good harmonies and other bits of instrumentation. And he's just one of those brilliant, annoying people who can kind of play any instrument. So he would just kind of pick up a cello and pick up a harmonica and a squeeze box. So we're just going to go, well, put a bit of this on it. And yeah, I think he helped me enormously and was really, really generous with his creativity. So, there's lots about the overall, the musical kind of world of the film that is
Yeah.
definitely. But yeah, it was really lovely working with him, particularly because he obviously is from that kind of period of sort of music that the band themselves are meant to be tapping into. So he was a really useful source just to kind of ask him questions about stuff and about sounds.
Have either of you ever been that obsessive about a band or artist? I mean, not to the extent of Charles, but like kind of sort of obsessed over your favorite band or artist over the years.
I mean, I certainly wrote down all of Nick Kershaw's lyrics when I was about 9 years old. If you
Was
want to
not
put it that.
expecting that at
No, I
all.
wasn't. But I think after that, yeah, I think I tried to steal some of Bell and Sebastian's sheet music after a gig once and got booted off the stage. I just wanted to grab whatever I could. Yeah, I've been quite obsessive about a few artists, I guess. But I think as I've got older, I've kind of realised that actually I would hate to meet Bob Dylan or Neil Young or Van Morrison or something. I think it'd be terrible. And I now see the need for the separation of the
Space.
artist. Yeah.
Tim, what about you?
Yeah, I got obsessed with an artist called Vyacheslav Meshurin. Do you know him?
No.
He wrote
Hold on,
he
writing that
wrote
one
sort of.
down.
Oh, yeah, but you very welcome to. I mean, he wrote sort of Soviet lounge music really in the 1950s and 60s. And a friend of mine gave me she was working for some record label and she gave me a dinner party. And I think the idea was she gave it to me because it was like ridiculous, and
Yeah.
yeah, so I took it home and I really liked it. And weirdly, became the next day, me and Tom went and filmed our first ever short film, which cost £200 to make. And I put this on in the car again to say, listen to this ridiculous music. We played it on a loop for about 4 hours and all became obsessed with it. And then it became the soundtrack to that short film. And then when I started doing stand up, it became my walk on music and played underneath all of my set. And then we started a sketch show, me and Tom and our friends Lloyd and Stefan, and it played underneath all of the sketches. It's just such evocative music. It was
Wow.
it was yeah, it's called Easy USSR Volume 2. That's the one you're after. And then I was fortunate enough, the girl who gave it to me also made radio documentaries. And so about 10 years later, we got back in touch and made a radio documentary about it to find out. I mean, she started doing some research about it, and it's genuinely interesting stuff. They used to play it in supermarkets and stuff in the 50s and 60s in the USSR. And then when the cosmonauts went up and did their first spacewalk, where I don't think you take that much stuff up at that point. They took that up and had that as a reminder of Earth. So that's my
Wow.
one.
That's the
Well,
next
I'm
film.
glad we talked about that more than the film.
Well, that was quite a long sentence, but I mean, we can sort of lose some of that, I guess, and focus on
Never.
your wonderful relationship with modern music.
How much did you, how much freedom did you have on, whilst you were filming? Because the kind of the relationship between you two, those conversations, they feel so kind of sort of they're fast, they're sharp, they feel really natural and so kind of in the moment of the characters. But obviously there's a script, but how much did you kind of stick to script or how much freedom did you give yourself to kind of improv and sort of play with those scenes, I think, as well?
I mean, I think in general we're pretty disciplined, so we make sure that the script is exactly what we want to shoot, and so we don't go into it thinking that there are scenes we're going to fix on the
Mm.
day because we knew that we wouldn't have had time for any of that. So we're very the script is very lean and we're very confident with what we're going to do, and then it's sort of case by case. If the scene is such that like there's just there's a lot of you could let it run and you can play and the
Hmm.
setup's quite simple, then we definitely would improvise. And there's some scenes where some of that improv. There's probably quite a few scenes where some of the improvs made it into the final cut. Anything with any kind of movement or action or physical joke, I think is really, really tightly choreographed. So it's just sort of a bit case by case. But the headline is we had 18 days to shoot this. So even
Oh my
with
God.
yeah, so with no improv at all, the director's still sort of looking at his watch and like slightly wincing if we want to do another take, having done two or three. So we really had to know exactly what we were doing, that with a lot of those scenes, particularly with just the story.
Yeah, I think maybe we had to be good boys and learn our lines really well, and then that would give us the capacity to have some fun afterwards. I think if you're not on your lines, then you don't get any. Well, you're unlikely to get any of the really fun improvisation stuff because you're just sort of slightly chasing it. But
Yeah.
we really tried to like. I think because it's our film. I mean, we were quite crazy. We were running back to our marks and stuff like that. I mean, it was kind of like quite visibly a film that we had a lot of emotional and creative investment in,
Yeah.
and so that
Mm.
that we needed to make sure that we kind of were setting the tone for the whole set. I think in a way that we both do other things with other people quite a lot, and with this one, I think you sort of have to be responsible and sort of go if we really really try hard to do it really well, then at least we give ourselves the chance of everyone else sort of also doing that, but also give ourselves some freedom to play around as well and
Yeah.
have fun.
Sean Clifford in this film as well
Ah, I
is
can't, I can't.
Yes, she's
Just
so good.
world class.
oh my God. I mean,
Yeah.
you've seen her in so many things and she's fantastic. You know what I mean? You know that you're in for a great time when you know she's part of a cast, but I don't know, there's something specifically outstanding about her performance in this film. And yeah, it's just brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Did you write it
I
for
yeah.
her?
No, we actually cast Sean quite late, and I think I think for a while we just didn't quite know how all those scenes were going to feel,
Mm.
and then we offered it to Sean. And we're both huge fans of Sean, particularly in Fleabag, just incredible.
Yeah.
We offered it to her, and then we sort of found out when she was on the way down, she'd come from the job. She sort of messages going, "I don't think I can do a Welsh accent." And we were like, "Oh, okay, okay." So then she got to say, and she's obviously brilliant at doing a Welsh accent, so it's completely fine. And she's sort of like she's very hard on herself. So she'll do a take and be like, "Oh, that was rubbish," and we sort of go, "No, that was genuinely fantastic." And even showing her the film the other night, we were with her at a screening, and she's so brilliant. And we were kind of banging on about how wonderful she is. And she
Mm.
sort of
I
she
think
doesn't
she's
like it.
I
She
think she's coming
quite hard on
she's
herself.
coming she's coming round to the idea, I think.
Yeah, I hope so. But she is
And
wonderful.
she wasn't like, oh, I'm terrible. She was, but yeah, I think she's absolutely outstanding.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's the character's so brilliant as well because she's got this kind of I love her whole kind of doesn't give a shit about anything really kind of
yeah,
it's almost it's just about kind of she's so in the moment and in the conversation that she's in, whether she's talking about her son or rice, and it's kind of it's kind of just it's kind of it's almost like she's not that she's not paid attention to things in the world. It's just like that stuff's not important. There's something just so beautifully refreshing about her character and approach to life. I loved it.
yeah. And I think having seen it a few times, I think I don't know. With me and Tom are sort of both big sort of shop fans, where there's all this other stuff going on, and the sort of emotional heart of the film maybe
Yeah,
slightly elsewhere. But I always like it when people just wander into that shop because you just get Sean's energy. And also the shop's kind of its own little character in a way. It's
yeah.
very idiosyncratic little environment. And yeah, it really kind of is a nice thing rhythmically in the film, I think, when you go in there.
You're right, Tom. Did you fall off your seat?
I had to plug in my laptop, Edith, and I
Oh
Horrible,
hoped you
dear.
wouldn't.
horrible.
I
Oh,
hoped you wouldn't
it's all,
notice.
it's all
Well,
gone.
I'm
we're
crawling under the
we're on
bed.
Zoom. I hoped you wouldn't notice,
Well,
Edith.
I
It's
thought
desperate stuff, really.
I thought should I turn off
We've
my
waited
camera and do
20
it?
years to be interviewed by Edith Bowman, and then
Oh,
you start
come
crawling
on.
around.
Oh my God. Come on. Um, oh,
I'm
you've
sorry.
thrown me off track now. Oh, yeah, where is this place? Is it a real, is like, I like Wallis Island?
Mm.
I was like going on and it's like, um, Australia. It's like,
Yeah, well, Australia, yeah.
yeah, no, it's
It's
like,
Central Sydney.
you go on Google Maps, it's like, oh, it's not where I thought it was. Um,
No.
but yeah, what's the reality of where you shot and how,
So
yeah,
we shot just off the Welsh coast in Pembrokeshire, so not far from Tenby, and just actually off the coast of Tenby, there's the island where the monks live. I think is it called Canby Island? And I think that sort of island is like the kind of inspiration for Wallis Island. There are a few of those. Scoma's another one. A few of those little islands off the coast of Pembrokeshire in
yeah.
West Wales, and that are just sort of very rugged and beautiful. And if you wanted to kind of disappear from the world, you'd probably do quite a good job of doing that if you lived there.
And did you film? I mean, were the interiors and stuff filmed sort of somewhere less kind of remote and I guess easier for a production when you say you had 18 days to shoot it, or was it all kind of done on that location?
It
I
was all
think we didn't,
done, yeah, near there, wasn't it?
yeah, we didn't make it that easy, I don't think, for the crew. They'd have been on easier missions. But yeah, it was all in that one area, but not quite in that one area enough that it wasn't a nightmare. I mean, a lot of inaccessible to get to the shop was not easy. Like a long walk with carrying stuff, and then the beach, obviously difficult. And I don't think anyone particularly loved us shooting stuff on the top of a cliff, but we are where we are. And then all of the stuff in the house, obviously much easier. That was all in one house. But yeah, there was no shooting stuff in London and then going to
Yeah.
the coastline for a couple of days. It was all, yeah, 18 days just fully immersed in making the film.
Do you think that made a difference in terms of that kind of, talking about that remote nature of things.
Yeah, I think it definitely does. I don't know. Yeah, all that stuff is very difficult to
Well, I
quantify,
think
isn't
it
it?
does,
But
and I think the other thing is that, and I think this is, I hope this is sort of evidenced in the film itself, is that the kind of relationships you get as a cast, as an ensemble, but also with the crew, are just become
Mm.
very, very kind of tight very quickly, and so it meant that with us and Carey, or with us and Sean, or with AK. We hadn't spent much time with them before the shoot. In fact, with AK and Sean, almost none. With Carey, like a day or two. But I think because we were
Wow.
all there and we were all in this remote place, and you kind of got to be there all day, but it's also very beautiful. It just means that you can really develop a kind of like a team spirit quite quickly, and that playing these roles where you're meant to have a relationship that goes back 10, 20, 25 years.
Yeah.
So it just feels quite achievable because you feel like you're getting to know someone in a very real way. And sometimes when you're shooting, you just don't get that at all. You don't really get any time together apart from the actual takes. So I think that
Yeah.
was really helpful.
There's you do feel that history and that even in that around the dinner table, aren't you, where there's that kind of lovely, that kind of
Yeah.
it's a real apprehension to kind of to let go, and then just as it does, it's so beautiful to watch.
Yeah, you
Is that
see
fun to
that scene
film?
was it was honestly just like a kind of fantastic 5 hour dinner for us, just sort of as friends, and it was just lovely. And the fact that you're doing that, see, and similarly the one earlier in the film with AK, where there's the four of us around the dinner table. That it was really they were just great. They were real highlights of the shoot actually.
Um, Before I finish, I mean, are we getting an album of the songs
Do
from
you
the
mean are
film?
you getting one for free?
No,
I can
I
I
would
can
never
arrange.
expect a freebie. No, I will buy
well,
it. Same
well,
way if I get free tickets to a concert, I'll always buy a t-shirt. So I will be buying the album. I just
Um,
wanted to know if
the,
it's going to be
the
available for us buying
Oh,
public.
it's gonna be a. Don't you worry about that. It's on.
Amazing!
Currently, you can currently listen to all the music on Apple Music or Spotify or wherever you get your music from. And then
Yeah.
there's a physical vinyl and CD. Sort of in keeping with the kind of slight throwback to the mid noughties, you will be able to
Mm.
get this album as a physical album as well very soon.
What about a gig?
Listen, if you want to chuck me half a
brilliant.
million quid for a private gig, I'll do it in a heartbeat. I would love to do some gigs and do
Glastonbury.
songs. I'd love to do.
Glastonbury.
I don't know
Oh, that'd
that
be good.
I don't know that Carey will be free. Is the problem, but
It's
I'll
like
work on it.
got
He's
the
quite in
cinema tent.
demand.
Cinema
Yeah,
tent's
Yeah,
there, isn't it? It's
yeah,
like show the
yeah,
film,
yeah,
yeah,
pop yourself over to, I
yeah.
mean,
Nice
I'm thinking,
low-key,
yeah,
I think the
low-key
park
little wrap.
stage would be good.
yeah. Well, I mean,
Cool.
me and Tom will definitely be free. It's just working on Carey.
Yeah.
I saw them. I saw them sing last week at a screening. That was something else. Beautiful.
Oh, you got to do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I want to. I want to. I just, I think I have to. I have to see how much affection there is for the music at the end of all of this, and if it's a possibility, then I'll be like a rat
I
out the door.
think there'll certainly be bits and pieces of affection for that music.
Yeah.
Hope so.
At least a gentle hug.
That'll do.
Oh
Yeah.
God, yeah.
Tim, you need to send one of your special emails again to Kerry to get it to
I
happen.
do. I do. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Send her a load of
he,
tour dates and
Tom.
go, yeah,
Yeah,
great, yeah.
Tom. I mean, Tom is in touch with Carey now since we started making the film.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
not his
Oh,
sort of. I'm not his go-between him
All
and
right.
Carey.
yeah.
Best pens.
Yeah, yeah. But no, I will try and oil the wheels. I'd love for that to happen.
Be so great. Be
I
so
just don't
great.
see where. I don't see how I get money from that. But I suppose that's not the main thing, is it?
Um, yeah, I don't know about that one.
I don't
No.
really
Well,
know,
I can
mate.
That's
work
a
that out.
question for marketing. Uh,
Yes. Yeah.
right, random one to start with, just because I mean I've haven't enjoyed watching this film so much, but then also your careers outside of this film as well, and what that's brilliantly been. And if you could being being fans of comedy and being fans of drama and TV and film and music, as you were talking about, Tim, this wonderful artist who I've spelt really badly, but I'm definitely going to find it. Easy USS Volume 2. Um, if you could be in the scene of any film or TV show that you've loved over the years, what would it be and why?
Hmm.
Oh, okay.
Hmm.
I mean, um, well, I suppose I wouldn't mind. I mean, I wouldn't mind being sort of airdropped into with Mel and I at a decent moment.
As one
Just
of
Great.
those
the
two.
one of those two, was one of with Nell
I
or
think I'd
I.
have to remove one of the people and just, don the long coat.
There must and there shall be aspirin.
Yeah, it's sort of.
Hmm.
I came to that film relatively late. I mean, I don't think I watched it until my 20s, and it is. I watched it again the other day, and also I bought the screenplay
Oh,
recently and read it.
cool.
The screenplay is fantastic. The stage directions are amazing, and yeah, I think that's kind of in terms of like a combination of the writing and the alchemy with the performances. It's sort of beyond compare, really. So maybe I'd go for With Now and I.
Great shout. Tom?
Well, when I was little, all I wanted
Oh
was to
God, yeah.
any capacity. So I would, to fulfill a lifelong ambition, I think if you could drop me into Bugsy Malone, even as one of the kids who passes the thing to Babyface on the wall, that would be fine. Just I mean, I don't know if I could do it as a grown up now. That might feel really weird if there's a man in his 40s just passing the baseball bat to Babyface. But
If
I would have,
everyone else
yeah,
is still kids and it's
yeah, when
just
I
you.
was still a kid. But I would have loved that, I guess.
Oh, great
And I
shout.
think, yeah, I think now probably, oh, I don't know. I think like I wouldn't mind sort of plopping into a Fargo or a Big Lebowski somewhere. That kind of thing would be fun. I just know those films really well, so I wouldn't have to learn the lines.
There we go. Job done already.
Uh,
Well, listen, thank you so much for your time today and huge congratulations on the film. And thank you for a wonderful, wonderful experience watching it. It's been a treat to get to chat to you about it today. Thanks so much, guys.
Thanks.
Thank
Cheers.
you so much for having us. Thank you.
Brilliant to chat. Thank you so much.